Welcome to Gamage Facts, and today we're looking at 10 secrets in The Last of Us games. Some of these entries look like they'll be answered in the upcoming HBO series to be answered. For this list, we're going to look at some of the unanswered secrets and plot holes in both The Last of Us Parts 1 and 2. If you haven't played either The Last of Us game, be warned that there are spoilers here. Make sure to stock up on material and sneak into the comments to let us know if we missed any secrets. In fact, we just keep our stories to ourselves. The announcement trailer for The Last of Us Part 2 has left fans with a lot of questions. In the trailer, we see a house full of dead bodies where Ellie is playing the guitar, and a shadowy figure enters the house without us seeing her face. Ellie, what are you doing, little girl? Do you really want to go through this? Was this shadowy figure just a figment of Ellie's imagination? Probably, because Jill is dead and the stupid old man. You can't rush this 20 years later, leave me alone. There's a big part of Joel's story that we know little to nothing about. We see how the outbreak affected him and his family, and then we jump into the future 20 years later. We hear little tidbits about what Joe had to do to survive those years, but they leave us with more questions than answers. We want to know how Joel and Tommy got around the military. Tommy got around the military, if they buried Sarah, how Joe coped with his daughter's death while surviving. Maybe with the HBO series we'll finally get some of those questions answered. Oh no, the Elders. The Elders are a group we never see in the game but only hear about from Lev. What we know about them is that they're part of the Seraphites. Going back to a document we can also find in the game, we know their names. We also know that the Elders have strict rules and laws to follow, which we learn as we find out more about Lev's journey and why he escaped. They want to kill a little boy for shaving his head. I wasn't allowed to roll like that. I broke it down. It would be cool to see more of this group as they have more traditional lifestyles in their beliefs. Watch out for yourselves. Applause. Bill and Frank, you come into my house, you trigger all my traps, you almost break my shooting arm. Bill is one of the most iconic characters in the original Last of Us. During our brief time with him we learn about his partner Frank. Bill and Frank survived in Lincoln for nearly 20 years, setting traps for outsiders and the infected. We know how their story ended when Frank left Bill after they disagreed on how to survive. Frank was bitten and took his own life. But we don't know anything about how the two survived in the city for so long. I found this in there and I thought you should have it. That way you feel right. We have a live one. Towards the end of our journey we meet the Rattlers for the first time, and in The Last of Us Part 2 as Ellie goes to finally kill Abby. The Rattlers have their base at a resort in Santa Barbara and have traps set up everywhere to catch both the infected and the humans. We know little to nothing about the group other than they're pretty crazy. They chain infected people and watch them transform for entertainment, among other sadistic things. It would be interesting to see how the group got to be the way they're. I mean, they can't have always been this crazy, right? How do animals survive? What are you doing? It's all right. Come here, hurry up. How about if there were no infected animals? You'd think that some of the infected would be able to catch, say, a pig or something. In the last scene we see a nice scene with giraffes and they look perfectly healthy and not worried at all. There is a little hint that animals can get infected when you hear a sound from a researcher. The researcher says, applause. The monkeys were clearly infected, but from the sounds of it, the infection was due to experimentation on the animals and not actual infection. That was kind of insane. The first time seeing a monkey, Riley's death. No, we can all wax poetic and just lose our minds together. In the main campaign of The Last of Us we hear a bit of Ellie and Riley short. The DLC was a wonderful reminder that kids can still be kids even when the world goes to hell. The ending, however, brings us back to horrible reality, and both Ellie and Riley are bitten. We know that Riley dies, but how exactly does that happen? Ellie is immune. She had to either run or fight. Wow, alright, Dina and Ellie's relationship. I'm just supposed to sit here and wait for you for God knows how long. I think you're __ dead the whole time before Ellie travels to Santa Barbara. Before Ellie travels to Santa Barbara, she and Dina seem to be living a family life. Ellie felt she had to leave to finish what she started. Dina catches her trying to sneak away, clearly upset by Ali's. When Ellie gets home, she's greeted with an empty house. Does she go back to the city to mend her and Dina's relationship, or do they return to family life? I'm not going to do that again, that's up to you. Survived Tommy, I'm going to make them pay. Tell me that's what you said when we went back to Jackson. Tommy, we know Tommy went to Santa Barbara, but did he make it back? We never saw him during our travels or at Rattler Camp. Rattler Camp it's doubtful that he survived. Assuming he did make it to Santa Barbara. The Rattlers would have captured him and done who knows what to him. I'd like to think that maybe he calmed down and went back to town and was serious about his and his wife's marriage, but realistically the infected probably built him like an ox traveling with a kid with scars on his face. Joel and Tommy's fight, what makes you think I'm doing this for you? It's not for me, Tommy, it's for your damn cause. My cause is now sometimes my family. Brothers don't always see eye to eye, but Joe and Tommy's fight must have been pretty intense. The brothers didn't talk to each other for quite a while. We never really find out what led to the brothers splitting up besides going through a rough time and both seeing the world through different eyes. Whatever happened, it must have been pretty awful. As Tommy says, I've nothing but nightmares from those years, that's for sure. Tommy saw Joel do some pretty bad things, but he had to do what he had to do to survive. That's how you're gonna pay me back. Huh, pay you back for all those goddamn years of taking care of us, as you call it. Gamage Facts, and subscribe to the site and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos.